Well, last night on CBS, Lisa Murkowski, who appears that she's going to win another term in the Senate as a write-in candidate, weighed in on everyone's favorite Alaska politician. Check this interview out from CBS.
I just do not think that she has those leadership qualities, that intellectual curiosity that allows for building good and great policies. You know, she was my governor for 2 years, and I don't think that she enjoyed governing.
Intellectual curiosity lacking. Of course, there's a long history between the Murkowskis and the Palins. We're joined now by Reid Wilson, who joins us from the hotline. Thanks, Reid, for being here. I want to ask you, first off, about this race for RNC Chairman. We've got another candidate in the race, Solon Nuzis, the former Michigan Republican Chairman. Is your sense that people are coalescing behind him, or is this just the beginning of the field widening?
You see, there's a very large group of Republican strategists who are trying to find somebody to coalesce around. And the problem is they can't, because all of that group thinks they can be that consensus candidate. You're going to see a number of those people like Solon Nuzis, people like Ed Gillespie is going to lay hands on one of the candidates. Karl Rove has a favorite candidate. Former Chairman Mike Duncan is thinking about getting back in the race. Reince Priebus, who is one of Michael Steele's top allies on the committee, is very close to getting in the race himself. So across the board, you've got candidates from all over the country who think that they can come up with some kind of consensus, but the problem is they all want the consensus to be them.
So remind us how the RNC chairman is chosen.
Yeah, the RNC is a great point, Jonathan. The RNC chairman is elected by 168 members of the Republican National Committee, and on this committee, they're a very insular group. This is sort of like, Karl Rove doesn't necessarily have the sway with them that he might have with some sort of local Republican activists. These are people who are used to being courted by possible presidential candidates, used to being courted by people who want to be their chairman, and frankly, after 2 years of Michael Steele, they want somebody from their own ranks, somebody that they trust to really get the job done. I think that's why you're not seeing this consensus around people like Norm Coleman, or Sarah Palin's name was floated. Even a Haley Barbour, somebody who was a chairman a while ago, he's not going to run. That's just not going to happen, because he'd rather run for president. And then people like Jeb Bush, these outsiders on the committee, they're big names to us, but they're not influential among the group of 168 candidates.
Reid, the big news on Capitol Hill this week is the arrival of the Tea Partiers, and they had big impact yesterday as Mitch McConnell reverses himself. An utter reversal on earmarks, says he's going to support a ban. The presumption now is that Republicans will support a ban on earmarks, but the Democrats still control the appropriations process in the Senate. Is your sense that anything's going to change necessarily?
Well, I think that there may be fewer earmarks, but then again, even if you have a total ban, somebody brought up this great point. Earmarks represent less than 1% of discretionary spending, not total spending, just discretionary spending. So even if they get a total earmark ban, and suddenly the Democrats on the Appropriations Committee are also willing to pull back their appropriations, well, it's really just nothing more than a symbolic victory. It stops way short of what anybody needs to do to really combat the deficit, and I think the deficit panel is going to be among the first groups to actually say that.
How soon are we going to see a test on this? Could we see this come to a head with the spending bill, omnibus spending bill that could come up during the lame duck?
Yeah, I mean, this could come really shortly. Of course, there is this omnibus spending bill. They're trying to figure out whether or not to extend it for a couple of months, for a year, however long they can possibly get the votes for. But yeah, this thing is going to come to a head really quickly. I thought it was very notable that President Obama came out with his own statement backing up Mitch McConnell, and well, not backing up, but sort of insinuating that it was his idea first.
Right, but critically, Democrats not on board for this still, and the question will be for the president. Do you veto something? Ultimately, that's where the president comes in.
And does it really bring up enough of a win? Is it enough of a political win to say, well, I stopped a couple $2 billion of spending, when the problem is in the trillions of dollars?
Right, and you know that your Democratic caucus isn't behind you on something like this. But just very quickly, big win for Jim DeMint.
Absolutely, huge win for Jim DeMint. Mitch McConnell knows how to count votes. He knew exactly where those votes were. They were not with him on this. It's a big win for Jim DeMint. I think it tells you that guys like Mike Lee and Rand Paul are going to have more influence in the 112th than some of the longtime legislators like Dick Lugar and Dan Coates from Indiana.
Exactly right, and a lot of them have been traditional earmarkers and have seen the light only late in the game. Reid Wilson from the hotline, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Rick.
All right, that does it for this edition of Top Line. It's twitter.com/Rick Klein and twitter.com/John Carlin. John, your thoughts on royal weddings?
I'm glad we saw one show in America that had no mention of it at all. Thank you, Rick.
That's right. None of that. None of the Beatles on iTunes, all that, all politics. We like earmarks.
All politics, all the time.